lot of driving. I won't say a lot of driving, but when I drive, I do it for a long time. So I'm on the road for long stretches of time. One of the things I've learned is, and not enough people know this, is traffic jams themselves follow pretty distinct rules. They work a certain way, and there are ways that you can counteract those laws to eliminate them. So, what do I mean? So, have you ever been driving on an interstate and you get in a traffic jam and you sit in this traffic jam and it, creeps along and then it speeds up and then it goes down slow again and then it speeds up and goes on and on like that for 10 miles, let's say. And then you get to the end of it, everybody starts speeding up, and there's absolutely nothing that should have caused that traffic jam. There's no tire tracks, there's no car in the ditch, there's no cop on the side of the road, there's no construction, all of those things. You ever asked yourself why that happened? That happens a lot. Well, here's the reason why. I'm here to tell you that 9 times out of 10, what causes traffic jams is not an obstruction in the road. It's brake lights. Brake lights cause traffic jams. Now, you say brake lights are good. Of course brake lights are good. But there are ways to drive in which you're not required to use brake lights as much as you do. Okay? Here's what I mean. So, what happens is you're following the car in front of you too close. Yeah, that's a value judgment, but it's my value. So, let's say you're following the car in front of you too close. He hits his brakes. Okay? You don't know if he's jammed on his brakes or if he's just tapped them. All you know is those lights came on. There are very few cars where you can tell if it's a big brake slam or not. Anyway, he taps his brakes. Your reaction, since you're only 50 feet behind him and going 80 miles an hour, is you've got to tap your brakes. So the guy behind you going 80 miles an hour and following too close has to tap his brakes. Next thing you know, almost at the speed of light, every car in the line, in the lane that you're in, going as far back as visibly apparent, is jamming on their brakes. Now, what did you jam on your brakes for? Well, could have seen a deer on the side of the road looking like it was getting ready to commit suicide. You could have thought you saw a deer. You could have seen a paper bag blowing at the wrong direction at the wrong time, and for whatever reason, you did the prudent thing and you tapped your brakes. Or the guy in front of you, I guess, in this example. But what you've done is everybody that reacts overreacts. So the guy in the front might have tapped his brakes, you pushed on him, the guy behind you jammed on him, the guy behind him almost hit the guy and really slammed him, locked him up. Next thing you know, you've got a wave, and this is legit. You can look this up. You have a traffic wave that starts to form. So all the cars stack up and they start moving backwards. Not backwards. The traffic wave starts moving backwards. So what do we do about it? Well, there's two things we can do about it. The first thing is, don't follow so damn close. There's absolutely no reason for for you to be 50 feet behind the car in front of you at highway speeds. No reason. The reason people do it is because there's idiots who will come in and take up that space until it's 50 feet. So I get it. I get that, you know, everybody wants to be first in line. Everybody wants to be ahead of the guy next to them. But truth of the matter is, if you're all going 80 miles an hour, the difference between that car up there 100 feet ahead of you and you, as far as how long it's going to take you to get there, is, I don't know, do the math. It's negligible. It's not much. It's fractions of a second. They're going to get there before you are. And driving on the interstate is not a race. You're not going to get a trophy for getting there first. You're not even going to get a ribbon. Not even one of those stupid green participation ribbons. You're going to get nothing. You're just going to feel, you know, good about yourself and whatever has wired you up to be so ultra competitive that you think you need to be there ahead of that guy. But the fact is, people follow too close. If everybody followed, gave 500 feet instead of 50, you could all still drive 80 miles an hour, but you do it in a much safer way. The second thing, and this kind of leads to the first thing, if you have that cushion ahead of you, 500 feet, and a guy 500 feet in front of you, and maybe 500 is too much, but I'm just throwing numbers out there. So the guy 500 feet in front of you taps on his brakes. You don't have to tap on yours. You've got enough time between the two of you for you to judge whether he's really slowing down, whether he got antsy, whether he came over the crest of a hill and saw a cop, whatever. If it's a false alarm, he's going to get right back up to speed. You're going to see that. You're going to see that the distance between you is not shrinking. So you're just going to, you might let off of your pedal, let off the accelerator, but you don't have to tap the brakes. So if you don't have to tap the brakes, the guy behind you doesn't have to do anything. So, my suggestion is, everybody allow a significant amount of leading distance between the car ahead of you and you, and keep it that way. And if somebody cuts in front and fills up the gap, I know it's frustrating, but if they do that, pull back a little bit and give that gap again. Because what's going to happen is, if there's any kind of trouble, your gap is going to eat the traffic jam. It'll stop with you. And I just want to call one more thing out before I run out of time on this. And I know who you are. I know you know who you are. If you've ever been in a huge traffic jam and you've seen the two semis side by side in a lane running slow and queuing up cars behind them, and you thought, those bastards, I hate that when they do that, then you're the one that needs to hear this, because they are doing exactly what they need to do to alleviate the traffic jam. Especially with regards to merging lanes. So you got two lanes and they're merging, and idiots that see a gap just keep going. Right lane ends, but they just hell for leather on the right lane because, hey, nobody else is there. I'm going to get ahead. I'm going to get mine. So they just take off. Well, those semis are there to keep that from happening, because the other thing that happens in these traffic jams is, when there's merging lanes, is all those idiots that speed up to go get in the front of the line, they're the ones causing that traffic. If everybody would just merge into the lane that the sign indicates as soon as they see the sign, they would be able to do it at full speed. And you could get through most merges at 55, 45 miles an hour. It would not have to turn into a parking lot. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.